and Craig Smoak.
We're joined by Taylor McHargue, ESPN. We have discussed quite a bit, of course, with college football. Opened up by talking about the Rangers winning their first ever world championship. That was fun. Lifelong fan like me and Craig and Paul's father was. And Paul, of course, is a Red Sox fan, so he's spoiled even more. Taylor McHargue. Taylor, thank you for your time. Michigan's undefeated. I'm not sure anything can happen to them, no matter whatever, I guess, is uncovered or what is true. But as soon as they lose a game, are they nuked as far as being a part of anything college football playoff, no matter who it's against?
Well, I think a lot of people would prefer it that way. I think it would depend on if they were to lose to, well, let's say they lose to somebody not named Ohio State, then yes, I think it probably ends it for them, unless even in that scenario they beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten. Still a path where they potentially get in. If they lose to Ohio State and they don't get a chance to play in the Big Ten championship, then it's probably Ohio State, and I don't see a non-Big Ten champion Michigan getting in. But I know for college football fans and the Big Ten and the playoff committee, it would make their lives a lot easier if Michigan did lose, so that they could try and avoid having to discuss Michigan and everything that's going on with them with the sign stealing scandal, and avoid all of that in the playoff discussion, because once you get to bowl season and once the Final Four is set, that would absolutely dominate headlines for 3 solid weeks.
Taylor, we were just talking about it. The thing that's weird is the coaches want something done now, and you get that, but I don't know if there's an answer that Tony Petitti can really give him, is there?
Not right now, at least. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the ultimate findings are of if there's any proof that this was, it's traced back to a directive from Jim Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. Then, yeah, all of a sudden this becomes, it already is bad. This is pretty ugly. From people that I've talked to, coaches, personnel, people that are in the sport, this crossed the line. And that's the thing. Everybody watches the TV copy and tries to see from your own signs, okay, we're going to have to change XYZ sign because we know that it's getting picked up. Everybody does that. Everybody watches the other team's TV copy to try and hear, is there an audible that they like to go to? Is there a specific sign that we see the quarterback use? And, okay, we know it's going to be this play off of it. That's all within the framework of trying to just get an edge on your opponent. Paying several scouts in different cities across the country to advance scout and videotape signs, it crossed the line. And I know last week I talked with you guys about, a lot of these coaches aren't willing to go out on the limb and really put their neck out there for what they really think about this. But I think that's coming. You're starting to see that crack a little bit the more information we get here. And it's really unfortunate because it's taken away from a fantastic season for Michigan, a great run that they're having right now. And I know they're ranked in the first round of the rankings behind Ohio State, but I think there's a better team than Ohio State. And to land the plane on your first question, I think they probably beat Ohio State this year. And it's going to be there should be some uncomfortable conversations that are had all the way through the month of December if they do end up running the table.
Taylor, a big one, there's a huge schedule in the Big 12 just in general this weekend, but one of those games, Texas hosting Kansas State. K-State's obviously been going with a little bit of a 2-quarterback look, but Will Howard had a nice game last week. On the other side, Malik Murphy making his first start. Just curious your thoughts on what you saw from Murphy and what your thoughts are on this game.
Yeah, I think this is the piece of this that I'm looking for is can Kansas State throw the football effectively? Will Howard played really efficient last week against Houston, but between their wins against Houston and TCU, they're dominating the line of scrimmage against both of those teams, and that is not going to happen in that way against Texas. You're not going to play bully ball and run the football right at Texas. I think Texas may have one of the top run defenses in the entire country. Kansas State is going to have to figure out a way to create explosives in the passing game and test Texas secondary, where they've been banged up some this year. On the other side for Texas, Malik Murphy looked much better, obviously, than he did when he came on in relief 2 weeks ago. And I think we expected that, right? You have an opportunity to go through the full week of practice. They know what you're good at. I also think it was probably good for him that he got that interception out of the way, where it was, that was about as bad an interception as you're going to see, where he kind of throws it up. And that reminded me of like a JV football type of interception where he panicked, but he got it out of the way. And I thought he played really well after that. And so Kansas State going to have to make him uncomfortable, force some takeaways. And then again, the key to me, it's going to be really difficult to run the football consistently against Texas. What can they do in the passing game with Will Howard specifically down the field, challenging Texas secondary?
Taylor, there's a game that's in Baylor, in Waco this week, the two teams that are really just not very good. And Houston getting buried by Kansas State, and, of course, having taken Texas down to the wire. Baylor just seemed like nothing changes, like a malaise every week. If Houston comes into Waco and wins that game, what does that mean for a program that is already struggling?
Well, look, I think it would mean a win in this game means more to Houston than it does Baylor. Because I think the tempo and the tone for this season is pretty much already established for Baylor. Doesn't matter. I think it's unlikely that they make it to a bowl game regardless. Even if they beat Houston, they would still have to pick up two more somewhere between Kansas State, TCU, and West Virginia. And the way West Virginia is playing, I do not think they would beat West Virginia. On the other side, with all that's been made of where Dana's at, and Houston fans appear to be not thrilled, to say the least, with Dana, I think a win at Baylor would probably mean more to them. Because again, even if they don't make it to a bowl in their first year in the Big 12, if they were to close out the season if they could figure out a way to get to 5-7, that feels a lot different for Houston, right? Doesn't it? Than it would for a 5-7 Baylor. Mm-hmm. Nobody's happy about that, regardless of how they got there.
Taylor, Bedlam is ending. It's a bummer, but Oklahoma State has not really won a whole lot of those games. They've lost 91 of them. Is this the year that they get win number 20?
I think it's better for Oklahoma State that they're playing this game later in the season than in the first part of the season, because I don't know what happened. It's not a team that I've followed real closely, because to be honest, after the beginning of the season, the way that they started, that to me seemed like a team that was going to struggle to make a bowl. And now you look up, once we turn the page to November, rattled off wins. They beat Kansas. They beat West Virginia on the road. They're sitting there playing really well in conference play, and go back to their loss against South Alabama in September, and you thought, man, this Oklahoma State team may not make a bowl. On the other side, for Oklahoma, we said last week on this show, we talked about how this is going to be a challenge going to Lawrence. It's a good football team, even with the backup quarterback and Bean playing. It's still a really good, disciplined football team. Oklahoma's going to obviously have to pick themselves up off the mat. A lot still to play for. If they run the table the rest of the way, beat Texas, you would expect it to be Texas in a rematch in the Big 12 championship. An opportunity out there certainly for Oklahoma to get into the playoff. But Oklahoma State last year of Bedlam, I think Oklahoma State probably wins this game. I would take Oklahoma State in this game straight up because, again, of the momentum that they've built. And can Oklahoma pick themselves up off the mat? It's going to be challenging. 2 back-to-back road games at Kansas, at Oklahoma State. The Big 12 did not do Oklahoma any favors in their scheduling in their last year in the conference.
Taylor, big one in the SEC. I know Georgia Mizzou's got some interest as well, but Alabama, LSU, Jalen Milroe, we've seen him week to week and the highs, the lows. Jaden Daniels obviously has had a really good year. Your thoughts on the quarterback matchup, but the matchup between these two teams as well, a huge one in the SEC West.
And I know Alabama is the favorite in this game, but this is another one that LSU can score, and they've proven that against pretty much anybody. They can put up points. Can Alabama play bend but don't break on defense? LSU is going to move the football, but can Alabama slow them down in the red zone, force a couple fourth down stops, force them to kick a couple field goals, because that's going to be the key in this game, and then hold on the other side. Do what we've seen Alabama. They've gotten comfortable with Jalen Milroe, where it's run the football, quarterback run game, quick game. And then outside of that, the rest of their passing game is throwing bombs down the field. There's not a lot of intermediate passing game. There's not a lot of full field reads. They've simplified things for him, and I think they look so much better than they did in the month of September. To me, I could absolutely see LSU winning this game because, again, they've proven that they can score on anybody. And Jaden Daniels, I think if they go in and win this game at Alabama, that's going to be your Heisman favorite.
Taylor, thank you as always, man. What game do you have?
I've got a good one, man. I've got UTSA at North Texas.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Two teams that really don't like each other. And UTSA, man, they are rolling now. They were 1-3 in September and have won 4 straight. And Jeff Traylor's got them playing really well. And I'm excited. That's it's fun anytime you get teams that legitimately do not like each other. And UTSA and North Texas, if you go look at just any of the tweets back and forth. These fan bases do not think highly of one another.
No, they don't. They don't. We've had both Eric Morris and Jeff Traylor on the show this week. So for a reason, because of exactly what you said. Thank you very much. Enjoy your broadcast. Thanks for being a part of our show on Thursdays when you can.
Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Taylor McHargue, former Rice quarterback, college football analyst with us on 365 Sports. Now,